Hello and welcome to Blythe Business News, where today I'm joined by Dr. Gillian Davidson, who's a non-executive director of Central Asia Metals, often known by its ticker symbol on the AIM market of CAML, C-A-M-L. For those of you who remember, CAML is a market capitalization of around £350 million, is well known for its wonderful history of paying dividends and operates the copper operations in Kazakhstan at Kunrad and also the lead zinc mine at Sasa in North Macedonia. But today, in the special recognition of the fact that it's going to be the International Day of Women in Mining, I'm delighted we've got Dr. Gillian Davidson with us. Gillian, welcome on the show for the first time. Can you briefly provide an overview of your role I'm going to call it CAML, your role at CAML, and also your route into this mining industry?
Hi, Tim. Absolute pleasure to be here. As you said, I'm a non-executive director on the board of directors at CAML, and I also chair the sustainability committee there. And the board of directors obviously being the highest level of oversight and governance. So it's a really important role of bringing sustainability and ESG to the board level. My journey into the mining industry makes me smile because I think, like so many, especially in the field of sustainability and ESG, it wasn't direct or straightforward. Those words didn't even exist when I came into the mining sector in the early 2000s. And I had previously worked in government policy and civil society around social, environmental, and natural resources across the world. And while I worked in natural resources, I'd never worked in mining. So it was a real haper chance opportunity when on holiday in Canada, I got engaged in a conversation about mining and a lot of the challenges and opportunities that were faced, especially around environmental, social, Indigenous human rights issues. And I was persuaded to see what could be done. And it's an opportunity that I saw and I've never looked back. The biggest surprise of my career.
Thanks for that, Gillian. I mean, as I said, we're doing this interview today to celebrate the International Day of Women in Mining. Central Asia Metals proudly, rightly, celebrates its international female team members across the Kunrad site, the Sasa site in North Macedonia, and its London head office. Can you give us some examples of the diverse roles that these women are operating in, please?
Yeah, thanks, Tim. Absolutely. CAML is very, very committed to diversity. And I actually currently chair International Women in Mining. And it's a very live and dynamic conversation that we're having within the organization. At the same time, though, it's really important for us to look at the numbers and the data and understand how many women are in the workforce and where they are, to your point, in terms of the roles. And overall at CAML, we're at only 13% women across the workforce. However, we are challenged in North Macedonia, where even in 2023, women are not currently allowed to work underground. And so if we look at eligible roles, that actually takes CAML's percentage of women in the workforce up to 22%. And that's against an industry average of 16 to 18%. So there's still a lot of work to be done across the industry. But yeah, as you said, if we look at the roles, it's really important for us to set the tone from the top. And as such, we have women represented at the board of directors, myself and Louise Rathel. And we also have a third of women in management roles, so at executive and general management, which is really important in terms of role models. And equally, we have a third of women in our technical roles, which are traditionally the most difficult to get into. And that includes heads of departments, including environment and human resources, and especially in our laboratory teams that are predominantly female. So it's a really important direction of travel. And the one final area that we've been really focusing in is on our capital projects, which are often very male dominated. And at both sites, we've been actively increasing diversity in roles such as civil engineering and processing, which are actually key for the success of those projects.
I know that diversity and inclusion is a key focus for CAML during this year, during 2023. What initiatives are actually putting in place to drive that?
Yeah, so we've really been looking at the strategy. What do we need from a diversity and inclusion strategy? And our goal in 2023 is to create and start to implement that across our sites and across the organization. And actually last year we set up diversity and inclusion committees at both sites to really start hearing from our colleagues about the challenges and what were some of their ideas for solutions to inform that strategy. And so for us, that's going to really mean looking at not just recruitment, but also retention, promotion, inclusive workplaces, and women in the community as well. So as you said, we have set ourselves goals, and one of those to support recruitment is that at least 20% of all candidates for every eligible role has to be female. So that really is going to push us to think about how do we advertise and communicate about roles? How do we enable people to apply for roles? How do we understand some of the barriers in our local communities that stop women from applying for and taking up roles? And that will really help inform our strategy. At the same time, we've been looking at how can technology help us and support us? And so we've been developing some virtual reality software that can be used in onboarding and in training, and also to allow machinery operation without the need to go underground, which really helps us start to open up roles for women, especially North Macedonia, who traditionally could not access those. And just on that note, we do continue to campaign in North Macedonia to allow women to work underground and really access these opportunities. A couple of other things that we've been working on and looking at. One is how do we create an inclusive workplace? And that goes down to basics such as your uniform and your PPE. Is it comfortable? Does it fit properly? Do we have the right facilities? And not to, do we also have the opportunity to provide flexible working and so balance responsibilities, which still is a big issue for women. The other piece that I'm really proud of is we participate in a mentoring program, and mentoring is really, really important to help women understand how to access the industry, how to navigate, and how to get advice. And so we have been participating in the International Women in Resources Mentoring Program, not just by allowing mentees to access that program, but we've also been providing mentors across the program, including our CEO and our CFO and our head of sustainability. So I'm really, really proud of that. And just finally, the role of communications and advocacy and promotion has been really important for us. We hold women in mining sessions, for example, at SASA, really to encourage our women to come together and discuss issues and share best practice and promote diversity and inclusion through our social media and our other communication channels.
Finally, thank you for all of that. But finally, if a woman was looking to go into the mining industry right now, what advice would you give them about embarking on such a career?
Well, first of all, I'd say do it. You might not find many others that look like you, but they're there and we're growing. And the mining industry needs you. It needs us. It needs a diverse workforce. There's a lot of growth and challenges that we're going to face. And we're going to need a real diverse range of skills and talent and experiences to be able to address those. I think also you might think that there's not an obvious role for you, but there's many professions and roles, from the obvious kind of engineering and geology and equipment operators through to procurement, training, logistics, sales, and of course, sustainability and ESG. So, as our challenges grow, as I said, so does that need for that diverse thinking and diverse skill set. And I do think jobs are going to become more flexible because of technology. So there may be opportunities again to have a more blended role and more remote role. For example, in Australia, there's many jobs where the fleet at the mine are operated from a remote operations centre tens of thousands of miles away. And I think finally, as I said, find yourself a mentor and grow your network. Find your local Women in Mining chapter, learn about what it's about, and you're going to find some amazing people, men and women in the industry that would love to have you join.
Gillian, thank you so much for joining us today. As I said, we're doing this video to mark the International Day of Women in Mining, and I can see this has been ably supported, not just today, but throughout the year by Central Asia Metals. Now, I wish you every success in the future. Thanks again, Gillian Davidson, Non-Exec Director of Central Asia Metals. That's it from this edition of Blythe Ray Business News. Thanks for watching.